Hello, everyone. Today's going to be a bit more of a. It's going to be a net positive in total, but this one's going to be a lot more personal and more of a downer. I will have another Mitch's mic out, not on this stuff. I have 2 sets of notes for Mitch's mic, so I will have 2 episodes out fairly quickly back to back, I'm sure. This one I feel like I need to get out, but if it's surrounding anxiety, depression, how I'm handling it, and how I'm recovering from things that have happened recently with me. So if that's something that's going to be either triggering or you just don't want to deal with hearing all the negative shit, then by all means, don't listen to this one. Listen to the next one. The next one is going to be much more of updates and more ramble. This is very much so a planned. If you don't want to hear it, don't listen to it. Listen to the next one. I appreciate everybody. So, with that being said, if you're here and going to listen, number 1, thank you. Number 2, these are things I need to hear. And I figure if I need to hear them, other people will as well. So let's just jump into it, I guess. I am going to be reading off my notes. Again, like I said in the beginning, it is going to be a net positive because I am in a better place because of these things. So if you want to listen to this, I'm going to say please listen until the end because I have, this isn't me scrambling for views. I told people don't listen in the beginning if you're not going to enjoy this, if you're not going to enjoy hearing me talk about my anxiety and depression. So I'm going to be reading off of my notes to start with. So if it just sounds like I'm reading from a prompt, I literally am. But I'm going to expound off of my notes. I just want to be as transparent as possible for a lot of this stuff because I've made a lot of mistakes. I've hurt people with my mistakes on an emotional level, and I want to stop that moving forward. And I've done it from a place of caring and have let it degrade into hurting myself as well. So this is probably a part 1 of pouring my heart and soul out onto the internet, but that's what I'll be doing through my art as well, but with the Podcomic and everything else. But anyway, here we go. We'll just jump into this because this is going to be the straight up pouring heart and soul out. So, anxiety and depression have led me to ruin relationships and friendships. Not knowing how to cope basically is the biggest thing, especially being on medication for anxiety and depression. And now it's been 2 months that I've been off of my medication. Now, anybody listening who is on medication knows that's not good to go. And I was on medication for about, I want to say 2 years. I'm bad at judging time, but it's been about 2 months I've been off. One way or the other, I've been on medication for more than 1.5 years. And even on the medication, the anxiety and depression end with therapy because it's very important to have both in your life at the same time if you're going to do it, commit to it, because it really does help. If you put your mental space as this is me getting help, and that's fine. But if you learn how to cope with it, I would recommend not being on meds. A lot of doctors, physicians, this is my opinion. I am not a doctor, number 1. I would recommend, just from firsthand experience, a lot of doctors are paid to give medication in order to kind of balance out certain things in their lives because of all the insurance and things they need. So it's a rough life on both sides. I'm not condoning doctors or condemning doctors. I am not condemning doctors. By and large, they want to help. Anxiety and depression with relationships and friendships, it causes you, at least it causes me, to shut down in a very big way. Somebody will invite me somewhere, say no, I'll just lay in my bed and dissociate. For anybody that doesn't know what dissociating is, that is, for me at least, when it is triggered for me when I am in a heavy depression or maybe a heavy anxiety attack where it feels like I can't breathe, I'm shaking, and then eventually I'm like, you know what, I'll just go to bed. And then I just get into bed and I don't move for hours. I never fall asleep, really. I might go in and out of sleep, and then I'm in this weird, hazy, dazed kind of mental state where I don't move. I don't really think about anything. You are just in this, it's almost a clear mental state, but at the same time having thoughts come in every so often of this negative world that it does exist, but in your mind it's a lot more to the forefront, and that is the only thing that exists. And that is what I have been stopping. How do I stop doing that? The biggest thing for me on stopping doing that is doing this. It's something that I truly want to be doing. It's something that I truly believe that I can do, versus working at a grocery store where I hate my life most of the time I'm there. I have to go work there in a few hours, and I'm sitting here just dreading it. However, that keeps the money coming in, but I have this YouTube and podcasting thing going on now where I can get all of my creative side out, and I can actually try to do this. And that's kind of been a big distraction. Not even a distraction, it's a great coping mechanism for me because I'm doing something. I'm getting something out. People are starting to watch. And I could see people coming in, and it feels great, but the shutting down is the hardest part. And I've been feeling so much better since doing this, which is good. However, before I was doing this, I didn't know what to do. I didn't have any kind of goal in life. I didn't have anything. And as somebody who is a creative person, that's not good. I need to be creating. I need to have something that I'm doing, whether it's building something or not. Even when I was an apprentice electrician, like at least I was going out and I was helping build, homes or apartments or something. I felt like I was contributing to society, and that felt great. I didn't love the work. I liked the people who I was working with for the most part, but because they were very supportive, even though maybe our political views weren't the same. At least they were supportive. They were good people to work with by the end of the day. But in between those periods, I would shut down. I would stop talking to people. I would stop doing things. I would literally lay in bed and do nothing. And I live at home with my parents, so they would see this. It's not like it was a hidden thing. It's not like nobody saw this. Granted, with my parents, they tried to help the best they could, but they don't know what to do. I doubt they've ever really had that happen consistently to them, where it was happening consistently with me. And even though I haven't been doing this all that long considering, I've found this is the best way for me. Now, with that being said, I recently ended a relationship because I shut down, but it was months and months and months of me starting to shut down, and it was a slow spiral down. And the relationship I had was just getting worse and worse, but it was because of me. I wasn't cognizant of things happening. And because of that, I probably lost a future wife. And that's really the worst part and the worst feeling. And I've been saying that, and I've been thinking that, and This one may take a little bit more time coming out than the other ones because I really have to pace myself talking about this kind of stuff. Again, I'm probably going to get emotional doing this, and you'll probably hear it in my voice. I don't hear it in my voice at the moment, but that's just me probably. So, saying that out loud and knowing this is going to go up on the internet, it's hurting me, and there's going to be a lot of editing because I waited for a solid probably minute and a half there to start speaking again, just to collect myself and to keep going. And that's a part of this list as well, is just recognizing what's happening in your head and coming back to the spot that you should be. And in no way, shape, or form am I saying do not just push your emotions away. No. You need to experience your emotions. It's the only healthy way to get it out. You just have to do it in a constructive way. You need to look at what's happened and try and correct that. I went back to her after 2 months of the relationship being over, and I tried my best to convey how I fucked up, that because that's just what it is, and just how I've been correcting myself. Now she said she said no to pretty much all of it, but I really hurt her, and by me doing this, by ending this relationship, I really hurt myself in the long run as well. And what I even have on my notes next is the worst part is moving on, but you have to. And it's true. If she comes back, great. In my mind, I've came to grips with the fact that she is not coming back. She won't see me in the same light. She won't trust me anymore. I don't know if she hates me or not. I don't think she hates me. I think she hates what happened and does not want it. And does not want it to happen again. Which I understand. But moving on is the most important thing you can do for yourself and for your next partner, for your friends, for your friendships. And just being able to move on and being able to become stronger. And strength really comes from what you can do with what little you have. If you don't have that much, but you are still chugging along, still doing your thing, that is the most important thing. You'll be able to build more powerful relationships and be able to make yourself stronger with other people who have also been able to move on when they've had very little. And this might sound dismissive or disingenuous, but there will be others. There will be others that come into your life. As much as I said, I think I lost a future wife, there are other people who will come into my life. Now, it could be her. It could be her again. I'm not saying it couldn't be. Anything's possible. You know, whether it's her again, allowing me to right my wrongs, or someone else starting new, you have to embrace them. You have to embrace that thought and be able to move on. Now, it's very important to give yourself time to cope. Like, rebounds, I don't think should ever be a thing. I somewhat had that experience in this last relationship. I am friends with somebody who I immediately clung to after the fact, and we ended up having a short-lived little fling, but that was it wasn't even really a thing. I didn't feel great during it. I thought I could just move on after, and I think that just comes from me just trying to bury things and to keep going, where that's That's not how it should be. That's not what it is. You need to take all that time to recover. Again, I'm saying you in all of this. I know it's like 15 to 20 minutes at this point where I'm like retconning this. You need to take all the time you can to recover. Taking time to reflect on the good and bad things and become stronger as an individual. Because everybody likes somebody that can stand on their own. Friends, future lovers, whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean, your lovers should also be your friends in the long run. Whether you stick with one person or many for the lover title. Yeah, when I say, I lost track. When I say you, I'm talking to me. When I go back and edit this, when I go back and take everything in, I need to hear this from me. But also I feel if I need to hear it, somebody else does. And I've been putting off this talk for a little while. And this is rough. This is not easy for me. Real quick, just to change subject for like a second for my sanity. I'm just going to shout out Sarah Longfield and The Fine Constant for their music, because this is what I listen to when I do the Mitch's mic. None of my other series do I listen to this, but like during this, it's really good music to just talk along to for me. The progressive ambience. It's very good. It's very great. I don't know. It's just incredible. Go check them out. The Fine Constant. Sarah Longfield. Right now I'm listening to Abdication of Doubt from Woven in Light. It's so good. Especially the beginning here. Anyway. So lovers should be friends. Yes, absolutely. I feel that's a big problem for me, was growing up thinking, hey, you gotta find somebody to be in a relationship with you. And my default being is just very friendly. If you come up to me and just start talking to me, I'm going to treat you like a human being. One of my core values is nobody's above anybody else. Nobody's better than anybody else. You need to find that position in life where everybody, you don't know what anybody is capable of in the best way possible. Right? Like, I have a couple of friends who just work, we'll call it briefcase jobs, right? Where they just go into an office, plug in, do their job, and then clock out for 40 or 40 plus hours a week. And some people are happy with that. Some people, that's great for them. That's what they want to do. I have a friend who just wants to do that as well. That's what they want to do. They just want to be comfy. They just want to go in, work for somebody, and get out, and that's what they want to do. Great. That's awesome. They've found what they want to do. They want to make life a giant chill sesh. Awesome. I'm all about that school of thought. But when it comes down to actually what do I want out of life, it is absolutely do me, right? Where was I going with this? Basically, I looked at relationships as, hey, they're attractive. Let me go after them. Except for one. There was one relationship where I'm going to omit all names ever on this show, probably, except for my really close friends who I will probably be podcasting with at some point eventually. But there was a girl who I knew she existed from school, but I never really talked to her. But she posted something on Facebook that was insane. She kept posting things on Facebook they were insanely funny, and that was just her personality. I ended up messaging her or commenting, I don't remember, on one of her posts, but I just said, hey, and the only reason we were friends was because, also real quick, little sidebar, I don't friend anybody on my personal Facebook who I don't know in real life. So the reason she was on mine was because I used to play music and I went to a local place. She went there with a friend, and so I knew her. She added me after the fact, I think is how that story goes. Something like that. Anyway, she kept posting things that were really funny, and eventually I just either commented or sent her a message saying like, hey, you just brighten my day every day on Facebook. Thanks for being funny. Keep it up. And like that was it. Eventually figuring out that one of her friends was one of my best friend's girlfriend, and it was a very much so like a high school, middle school, whatever kind of thing, where it was like, hey, can you see if she wants to date? And it just got to the point where I was like, I'm just gonna ask her. At this point I don't remember the story exactly, but it was something like that, and it was like a combo of asking her and having my buddy's girlfriend ask at like around the same time, just to kind of poke and prod, see if she was interested, kind of a thing. And that clicked immediately. And that's probably another relationship that I messed up, having my anxiety and depression just cave in. The most recent breakup is one that should not have happened, and I destroyed that and I let it go. But the hardest part, like I've said, is moving on. And I have been. This is almost a story of how a coffee machine saved my life. The way I've been moving on has been get into a rhythm, get into a routine of, I went out and bought a coffee machine, a like $15 coffee machine that will just make coffee, which my coffee is now cold, so I know you need to get a new one. A new one? Do you speak? Need to get more, because my coffee went cold. So I went out, I got a coffee machine. For the longest time I was like, I don't want to depend on a substance in order to wake up. Now look, if you are a coffee drinker, you're always going to have coffee in your house. You're always going to have your coffee machine. If this is the only thing that is stopping me from waking up in the morning, again, anxiety and depression, it's very hard for me to wake up in the morning unless I have like a reason to get up or an award system or something. Now, I enjoy coffee just on its own. I could just get coffee, throw it in the machine, and then get a mug, pour it in the mug, and just drink it. I don't need anything else with it, except for a certain couple brands of coffee that are just gross. But other than those, what I've decided to do here was get up, get a coffee maker. I turn it on when my alarm goes off. I sit up in bed. I just kind of hang out with my blankets until the coffee's done, pretty much. I'll usually watch like a Philip DeFranco video or something just to get my news in the morning. I have my coffee, usually research his topics, because I'm not a believer in just getting my news from one source. I always go and review his sources and look into other ones, see counterpoints from both sides. I look at Republican and Democrat viewpoints and try and derive facts from it, which I feel like Philip DeFranco is a good way of just boiling it down into facts until he gives his opinion. And then in which case I'm like, okay, that's how that makes you feel. That's fine. You're getting that out there. It's your channel. You do you, bud. A lot of respect. I don't always agree with him. I feel like most of the time I'm agreeing with him, but you know, there's always those moments where you're not going to. Anyway, this is not a political conversation. So how I'm coping. Coffee machine. Get up in the morning. Watch my thing. I chill out. I just hang out for the first probably hour, right? Have some coffee, have some water. I want to start working out, but for right now, I'm not going to. I want to get into this rhythm, and then if I can working out, even if it's at night, great. But then after that first hour, I do my vocal warm-ups to make sure that my voice is at least fine, or at least presentable for the internet. I'm slowly losing radio voice, I feel. And I just kind of go. I don't really think about... I think about if it's good enough or not, and I will redo things, but I don't think about, oh, it's going to be bad today, or I'm not feeling it today, or whatever. If I get those thoughts, I just think, hey, you're feeling your depression, you're feeling your anxiety, you need to remove that for a second and just do your shit. Just get up and do your shit. Nobody's going to care if it's good or bad for the most part. And does that affect you in the long run? No, of course not. You need to get up and do your shit. And not that I haven't respected people, but it's definitely caused me to just blow people off for the stupidest of reasons. And I need to get this anxiety and depression thing under control. However, being off of my medication, because I do want to stress, if you are on medication, talk to your doctor, talk to your therapist, see what's going to work for you. The reason I'm off of mine is because my doctor refused to re-up my meds. He did not give me my prescription when I couldn't make an appointment, when I gave them notice about 4 or 5 days in advance, and I just wanted to reschedule and make another appointment, but I wouldn't be able to make the appointed date. So I asked them if they could just give me a month's worth maybe, or whatever, just give me a month prescription. And until I could see him, I said I'd call back and make an appointment when I got my next week's schedule, because at a grocery store, at least the one I work at, or the ones I've had worked at, I've worked at a few, that'll probably be a whole other Mitch's mic, or maybe a Psykicks thing. But they give you your schedule by week-to-week basis. Bases? Bases? No, it's not bases. Bases? Basis? It's probably just basis. Why did it take me that long to figure out basis? They give you your schedule every week, same day. They usually give you like a 2-day notice. So like if the schedule comes out on Friday, you will know your Friday and Saturday schedule before Sunday comes, because the schedules run from Sunday to Saturday, which I think are most jobs probably Sunday to Saturday they work by. I mean, they don't really give you all that much notice, but your schedule doesn't really change too drastically usually. I'm sure it goes by individual to individual. Some people's it might, some people's it doesn't, but it is what it is. It's just how they work. That's dumb, but it is how they work. So I said, basically, give me a week, I'll call back. And I emailed him, and I called the office asking for this refill, and it never happened. He just refused to give it to me. So I got very upset and decided I'm never going back to this man. Now, the first 3 to 4 days, probably the first whole week of me not having my meds, was for me a personal hell of just coming down from having my anti-anxiety and depression meds, and probably a solid 3 days of just staying in bed. There was one day where I had to work and I just didn't. I didn't even call in to let them know I was going to be there, because that was giving me way too much anxiety to deal with it. I cannot describe what it feels like, other than you are stuck mentally in this space that you will not leave. And for me, I cannot allow that to happen anymore. I need to get up, and I need to do this. I need to do something. And this is the biggest coping mechanism I have, is to get up and do my thing. So all in all, I'm doing much better. I have a lot of regrets in the near past, and I am going to pretty much leave it at that, because I'm here, and as long as I'm making videos, making podcasts, doing whatever it is I do, some videos might be might come out later than others, and I might hit slow points, but that's probably just because I'm working on a million things at once and trying to get things out. If it's been a little bit, I will probably put out ASMR reviews and Mitch's mics, because those are fairly easy for me to do. So I will probably leave it with that. I'm going to go probably call my grandmother, because she is somebody that has been hurt by this. And you can't hurt your grandma. You can't do that. You gotta make that up. As much as I've done wrong with this, I'm aiming to right my wrongs and become a better person because of it. And I hope anybody listening can appreciate kind of the emotional and mental toll this is taking on me to make, because it's been almost an hour now because of the amount of breaks I've been needing to take in between certain sections. When I edit this together, it's not going to sound like I'm taking breaks, but oh boy, has this not been easy. This has probably been the hardest thing I've had to do as far as the recording series and the recording process has been. The Podcomic took me a long time to get out, the second one, but oh man, this is just a quick afterthought before I have the send off to the video. But I was thinking I didn't fully explain my thoughts on being off of medication. Now, the thoughts of me being off of medication is mainly that it made me complacent in my day-to-day. It made me very apathetic. I was very much so in a spot of, I was fine with the status quo. I was good with what was going on in my life, and good things were not happening in my life. As far as I was stuck at a dead-end job, I wasn't doing anything to better myself. I was in a relationship. The relationship was great. The relationship was fine. However, the space that the meds kind of put me at was, hey, you don't need to work on anything. Everything's great or everything's fine, not even great. Like, there were no big feelings one way or the other. I felt like I almost lost some emotion along the way because of the medication. So since I was taking it, and since they kept raising my amount of medication, I felt more and more like, hey, this is good. This is good for you. The medication's working. We'll give you more and more. So I just felt like I didn't explain that clearly enough, where I was very apathetic to most things in my life. It didn't really help get rid of my anxiety or depression. It just kind of made things seem like they were gone, even though really what it did was like bottle up my anxiety and depression until it finally caught up to me, to the moment of, hey, let's end this relationship, and because you're freaking out and you don't know what to do about it. So I just wanted to clear that up. If you are on medication and it's like actually working for you, especially if you are going to therapy and speaking with your therapist, or if your psychiatrist is your therapist as well, if you use them as your therapy and you schedule time for that. The thing is, it wasn't working for me in the way it happened. I will definitely look into therapy and take things a little slower with that going forward. But for now, almost podcasting is my therapy. And I have a lot of friends that are extremely supportive, and I couldn't really ask for more from them. They're giving me more support in my life than I've pretty much ever had as far as this, like, the creative endeavor goes. So, yeah, just wanted to clear things up, and I'll let myself just kind of end this one. So thanks, guys, for listening. Anyway, I just want to send love into the world, so I'm going to go call Grandma. Guys, be happy, be healthy, drink a lot of water, make good decisions. I will see you in the next one, and sorry if this was a lot. I'm sure it was. It was a lot on this end, so have a good one.